10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
And welcome back, drag racing fans. The Power Hour is live once again. Hey, good to be back on Tuesday night and live. Dujane, you and Nikki did a fine job last week, and two great guests on.
Yeah.
Going to continue the Pro Stock motorcycle theme this week as well, as we have got the man who seemed to have won it all just about there in Sonoma, Mr. Matt Smith, on the show in just a few moments. I just want to say this, Dujane, to all the content creators out there. If you intend to get content work done in Amarillo, Texas, it might be one of the most challenging places in all of the United States of America. I just got to say that. I walked into that library, nice library, bit dated in the decor, but it was nice. And you could not find but one table with outlets in this modern day at a library.
That's rough.
It was quite a fascinating turn of events to find an outlet and find accessible Wi-Fi in Amarillo. Great town, though. Great town. Oh, by the way, skip the Big Texan. That is great. And go down to Coyote Bluff. That, in my opinion, is the best steak in town. Dujane, what's been going on with you?
Man, just working NFL stuff. That's in full swing with the training camp stuff. And working this NHRA, man. This last race the competition was just strong with everybody. Absolutely amazing stuff that we're seeing as we're closing out this regular season.
It was a good race. I did not get to see it. I haven't seen the national broadcast. We can talk about that later. And I know you were watching intently. I was trying to get out of Albuquerque, New Mexico after covering Funny Car Chaos in the Cactus, as we called it, which was another tremendous event. Wow, we have a points race going into the last race of the year, points earning wise, for Funny Car Chaos, certainly, and would love to take the time to talk about that. But we've got plenty of drag racing to talk about. There's a lot happening this weekend. A lot happened this past weekend. We'll take a break and get Mr. Matt Smith on, talk some Pro Stock motorcycle. And, well, I think we had the peak news today that we've all been waiting for. John Force Racing announced who is going to be the relief driver for John Force himself, and that is Mr. Fast Jack Beckman. So, with all that news dropping and it being the peak news, this word from Pete.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Oh, Matt Smith, welcome to the show once again. Certainly no stranger. Always good having you on and bumping along down the road. So what route did y'all take back? Did you take 40 back? You taking 20 back? What way are you going back to North Carolina?
No, we're on 80 right now, and we'll go to Lincoln and drop down to 70, and then St. Louis will drop on down to 40. So that's the best way to go from Sonoma.
All right. Very cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, there's not much out there.
No.
A lot of corn.
That is right. Well, man, look, thank you for the time. As always, congratulations on the wins. We're going to dive into that in particular. It's been a while since we've had it on the show, so I'm going to start with a broad question, let you narrow it down in your answer. It being a political year, in regards to that, somewhat, if you were going to give a State of the Union address concerning Pro Stock Motorcycle right now in the Mission Food Series, what would you say on it?
I would say our class right now is not very healthy. We're not having full bike counts. We need to get a bunch more people out here. I'm not saying what rules need to be changed, but there needs to be some rules changed to help more people come out to race. So in essence, I think females need to get a break to get some more females back in our class. We used to have 7 to 9 females in our class. We have 2 right now. I think the bikes have gotten so heavy that the females just can't handle the motorcycles like what needs to be, how they need to be handled. So in essence, I think there's a lot of things to help our class. I think we need to have more money in our class. Our class is, not a rich person's playground like maybe Pro Stock Car and Top Fuel Funny Car is. So I think our class needs a little bit of money help in the bottom 1 and 2 rounds, and just get some rules right so we can get more people in.
When it comes down to those rules, I know that you had mentioned several things, and I know this weekend with 60-foot times, it seems like you guys have just been on a roll since really Virginia. Outside of that, what is needed to help others kind of pick up and be able to do that a little bit easier?
Well, I basically, I kind of told NHRA that ultimately, I think that the Vance Hines bikes still have a little bit of a performance advantage. I know they didn't show it this weekend. They didn't show it at Seattle. But when you look at the numbers, how we've always judged kind of parity in our class before the last year or so, we look at Pro Stock Car. And whatever Pro Stock Car is, typically your V-Twins and Suzuki's will run about 16 to 19, maybe 20 behind Pro Stock Car. And when I say 16 to 20 behind, what that is Pro Stock Car went 650s. That means Pro Stock bike would go 670s. That's 2/10 behind. So that's where I'm getting the 20 from. So in essence, the Suzuki's, particularly have been 12 to 16 behind the Pro Stock cars all year long until Seattle. For some reason at Seattle, kind of a sea-level track, they slowed up to 20 and 21. And then at Sonoma this weekend, they didn't show their potential where they should be the 12 to 15, 16 range. So we were 16, right where we should be behind Pro Stock car. So ultimately, I think that something's going on. I don't know if they have messed their tune-up up or they just did 60 foot this weekend, the Vance Hines guys. Chase Van Sant 60 foot are great, this weekend. But the 2 Vance Hines bikes didn't. The only time they did 60 foot is when he ran me in the call out, the 1 round, and he went 68. So that's where I think they need to be hit a little bit of weight. I think the Gen 2 motors of my bikes, MSR, they need to be hit a little bit of weight. That helps the Gen 1 motors of Hector and Mark Ingerson and whoever runs Gen 1 V-Twins. And ultimately, I think, with that being said, I think the Monster motors, they need 10 pounds off of them right now to make them more competitive. And the only one's running that right now is Steve Johnson. So when I talk about rules and people say I'm bitching and crying, I'm trying to help the whole class. I'm not just trying to help MSR. I'm trying to help the whole class because ultimately from number 1 to 16, I would like to see 600, 700s from top to bottom. That way everybody has a chance of winning.
Now, I want to ask a real quick follow-up. Now, I know you talked about in the press conference for the Getrix All-Star Call-Out, you talked about the conditions. Would it be fair to say that this past weekend, I know you guys work hard and that's not taking anything away from it, but did the conditions also help you as far as the track conditions, the temperatures help you 60 foot better this weekend?
No. I had a plan coming into Sonoma. Typically, Sonoma is it's a Suzuki track. It always has been, and everybody knows that anytime these bikes get to sea-level tracks, Suzuki typically has an advantage. No different than the V-Twins when we get to altitude tracks. Let's say Bristol, let's say Denver, we have an advantage. So ultimately, there's always an advantage with the Suzukis at Sonoma. I don't know why they missed it so bad this weekend. But I had come in with a plan of I'm just going to gut these bikes in low gear. I took a pardon my French, but I took a shit ton of timing out in low gear just to control them, and it worked. I mean, it really worked. I mean, I didn't think it was going to work as good as it did. I thought we'd be like duds. I was hoping to go 107, 108s, 109s and 60 foot, and yet I did that. And we go 105s. So ultimately, I learned some things that I think will help us on down the road some more, especially when tracks get hot and greasy. But the track stayed pretty good all weekend as far as it didn't really get greasy. It just got warm, but it was a dry warm. The rubber never got gooey from what I could see. And that's where we just stayed so consistent, in our program and in all 4 of our bikes.
Thanks for explaining that. I appreciate that.
Speaking of all the bikes, I mean, certainly performance there, yes, Gianna. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Gianna steps away from the track with some personal bests and records. So very impressive to go out there and do that at the home facility for them. And you picking up the wins. Tremendous weekend for Matt Smith Racing that definitely has got to help motivate and help push along that much further in, where Pro Stock Motorcycle is right now.
Yeah, I mean, we had everybody's bike ran good in qualifying except John Hall's. And we actually found the problem when his bike didn't start up in Q4. We went back and found the problem with his bike that was going on that just kept his bike slowing up, and he just couldn't run. We fixed that, and he ultimately, unfortunately, he had to run my wife first round, and he went out there and laid a number down, and he won, and then her bike messed up, and he won. So it's kind of a frustrating deal, but my bike, Gianna's bike, was like on rails all weekend. We had 2 quick V-twins. We had 2 quick Denso Scrappers bikes, and Denso bikes. And basically, she left Seattle and Sonoma with her personal best speed, and Sonoma with her personal best ET also.
That's impressive. That
is impressive. That's very impressive. I don't think you could have written a better story. I mean, you get the Getrix call out and you get your sponsors race. That has to make you feel good with all the hard work that you guys have been putting in all season, and then to finally get to see the results where you want to see the results at your sponsors race.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we have worked really hard. We have tested a lot. Even on our way out to Seattle, we stopped at that new Flying H track and tested it there going to Seattle. So, I mean, year to date, I think we've got 14 test sessions since Gainesville. I mean, it's just unheard of what we've done and the money we've spent testing and trying to learn where the power curve needs to be on these things, where this new clutch that we're working with needs to be, dialed in. And it's paying off. And, getting Gianna more and more laps on that bike, because you got to remember, this is her first year ever on a V-twin. So ultimately, her whole career, she's raced a Suzuki. And, I think she's come a long ways in a short amount of time on a V-twin. And I think once we get her to be able to let the clutch out on time, like she was on a Suzuki, she's going to be a major, major threat. And I think it's only a matter of time before that happens.
Matt, with some of the things you mentioned about helping the class, Andrew, I think, has a question that lines up with some of what you put out there, and see if this specifically is something that would help. He asks of you if Pro Stock Motorcycle not being a part of Pro is an issue. Would it help if Pro Stock Motorcycle was a part of Pro?
I don't think so. And here's the reason why. Our class is not rich. I think it takes like $10,000 or $12,000 per person just to be in that organization. And ultimately, our class is a parity class. So it's not like Top Fuel and Funny Car where they have to run the same parts, same pieces, same engine size, all that. No different Pro Stock car. They all have to do the same thing. Ours is more like Pro Mod. There's 4 or 5 different, I say in Pro Mod, there's 4 or 5 different power adders. There's 4 or 5 different engine configurations in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I mean, there's 2 different V-twins. There's a Gen 1 V-twin. There's a Gen 2 V-twin. There's a 2-valve Suzuki. There's a 4-valve Suzuki. and then you got Kawasaki, who has their own, rules. So ultimately, it's up to NHRA to keep parity in our class, and I don't think being part of pro would help us. Basically, because NHRA makes the rules as they want to do, and I just don't think our class could afford it. Anyway, we're having a hard enough time to keep 12, 16 bikes in our class right now. Anyway.
Would there be some way though to and I know that's hard because you have so many different manufacturers, and that would take probably time and some people putting their heads together, but could there be some kind of formality or uniform deal where like pro stock 500 inches cubic inches, you have all these specifics that you have to stick in? Would that help the class? Is that possible?
I really don't think that's possible, and here's the reason why. V-twins are 160 cubic inches, and we rev them to 10,000 or 10,500, according to what parameter you're on. The Suzukis, they're 113 cubic inches, and they rev to 14,000. So everybody knows the higher you rev something, the more power you make, the better it accelerates. And that's the biggest reason why there's two different configurations in our class. It's no different than Pro Mod. You got blower cars, you got nitrous cars who get to run a great big old motor, and then you got turbo cars who run a small motor with two big old turbos on. So all in all, it's like I said, it's NHRA's job to keep the rules in the organization equal, so every brand and every manufacturer has a chance of winning. And they have their hands full at times. It's just not our class. It's just not Pro Mod. It's factory stock. They have to do that too, and also. So, I think it's a good deal, but they just have to do a better job of keeping parity, so we get more people in our class back in it. I think that's why you see a lot of people have left the class or are taking breaks, is because the parity just got way out of hand. And no disrespect to Van Science, NHRA gave them the platform to build that new cylinder head, to build the billet cases, to build all that stuff like they did, and they took advantage of the rules, and they got big power, and they got their bikes working good. But it's time to just bring them back, in control. No different. I try to tell people it's no different than NHRA let back in the Harley day. They let the Harley bike have a 4-valve cylinder head. That head dominated for one solid year. They won every race but one race. And finally, NHRA outlawed that head because they knew that they just had such a performance advantage. I don't think they need to do that now. I don't think they need to outlaw that head. I just think they got to pull the ropes back on that motor size. And eventually, over the winter, in my opinion, they got to drop the CCs on that, so then they can get the weight back off those bikes, so everybody's back at the same weight, and they can play with weight during the year to keep parity.
So what you're saying, Matt, is everyone is basically bringing a knife to a gunfight. And yeah, you might every now and then get a slice in, but the ones firing off can land more often.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to start a pissing contest, but they still have an advantage. They just have not showed their potential the last two races. Why? I don't know. I don't have a clue what they're doing. I know NHRA called a big meeting with our class at Norwalk, and they basically told the whole class that there's going to be, here's their exact words. Their exact words from, I'm not going to say the name of the tech guy, but it's a major tech guy. He says, hey, we've done a bad job of keeping parity in this motorcycle class for the last year and a half. In the next sentence, he said, there's going to be some major rule changes coming very, very soon. And that's all that was said about that. Take it for what it's worth. All of a sudden, the fastest bikes out there, they slow up. Now, there was a rule change. They took 10 pounds off the Gen 1 bikes. That didn't affect my bikes. That affected Hector Jr. and Mark Ingerson. But those guys couldn't even get to the weight where they're at now. Right. So that 10 pounds didn't help them. So, in essence, the bikes that needed to slow down on their own. And I think they did that so NHRA would look at somebody else. Well, I'm not going to sandbag. I'm showing my full potential. I always have, always will. We run too big a speed, and when I do 60 foot good, the ET board lights up. When we don't 60 foot good, the board don't light up as good, but we still run that big speed. So I'm all out all the time. It's just if we get that 60 foot going, and I think we stumbled onto something out there.
Well, as you mentioned speed, Dave W., our resident statistician, check out dragracereference.com. He says, went by without much fanfare, but Matt Smith now has the most top speed of events in pro stock motorcycle history with 52. You passed Andrew Hines with 50 back at Richmond. So you're top dog on that stat as well there, Mr. Smith.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I know the tech guy. I had a meeting. The tech people come over and they pull some data out of our stuff this weekend and checking this and that. And they told me, they go, you know what stat we noticed? I'm like, what? He goes, you have more than 50% of 200 plus mile an hour runs than the whole class combined together. Just me. So that's a pretty neat stat to have. You know, we always show what we have, and I'm not going to lay back. I know a lot of people think we lay back, but I don't lay back. I fight for this class because I'm passionate. I've dedicated my whole life to it. And heck, I bring 4 bikes every race. I bring 5 bikes some races. I try to help our class as much as I can. And I'm all in. I'm just all in all the time. And that's why I'm passionate about it. And that's why I speak my mind about it.
Well, since we're educating here, I had a question. I've always had this question about weight. I'm not sure if the NHRA allows you guys to place the weight where you see fit, or I'm not sure if they tell you or not. But my thought was, if tech is understanding of where they can put weight, would it be easier for when they add weight for them to tell you where to put it? Because obviously you know where to put the weight to have success, even though, you know what I mean? Even though you're adding weight, you know how to place it where it's not going to hurt you too bad.
Well, ultimately, I'll look at this. On my bike and John Hall's bike, we have no weight on the bike. We are already overweight of where we're at right now with our minimum weight. So me and him can't get the minimum weight. Angie and Gianna, I can put weight where I need to with them. The simple fact, and I'm a 150-pound rider, so that just tells you that, I mean, I can't starve myself too much more to try to make weight. You know, it's just one of them deals. I mean, yeah. These bikes are heavy. The V-twin bikes are heavy. On the Suzuki, when I ran the Suzuki last year, I had like 40 pounds on the bike, you know. So those motors, those bikes are just a lot lighter. But I don't think our class needs to be to the point like Pro Stock Car. Pro Stock Car, every time they go across scales, they got a front weight and they got a total weight, or I say a rear weight. And they have to abide by that with NHRA. I don't think our class needs to be like that. Just one weight right now. But I think, you know, ultimately, it's their job to keep the parity, and, you know, they're close, but they still need to do a little bit more. And I think once they do that, I think you'll see some really good competitive racing. And hopefully, you know, you won't see people just take dives like I think the Vance bikes did, you know, these last 2 races.
All right. So what I can tell, the bikes are not in Brainerd. Next time we'll see the bikes out of the U.S. Nationals on the schedule, and boom, rolling right into the countdown playoff scenario. So Matt, my last racing question for you is, what do you hope to hear from the NHRA with a championship fight looming very, very soon for Pro Stock Motorcycle?
Well, I don't think they'll do anything just because of what they did the last 2 races. I think you'll see a big uproar if they do something, because everybody's going to say, well, Matt Smith dominated the last race. But like I said, if you look at Pro Stock Car numbers to Pro Stock Bike, I'm right where I was for the last 5 races. I've been anywhere from 16 to 19 the last 5 races behind Pro Stock Car. It's just they have slowed down for some reason, and we don't know why. So ultimately, if what I would like to see NHRA do, I'd like to see them put 15 pounds on the Vance Science bikes. I'd like to see them put 10 pounds on the Gen 2 motorcycles, leave the Gen 1s alone, and take 10 pounds off the Monstar motors, you know, Suzuki's, and try to bring the class closer together and do that. Now, on the second part of that, I wouldn't like to see them do anything to the girls. So any girls that come into the class, they can be 10 pounds lighter than whatever the minimum weight is of that brand, just to try to help them out, just to try to get some more females back in our class. I know we only got Gianna and Angie out there, but even when Kelly comes back, I heard she's coming back in Indy, she should be 10 pounds lighter. I just want to help our girls so we get more girls back in our class and help our participation back out in our class.
That's fair. So what Matt Smith going to do with the time off? Are you going to take rest, kind of regroup, or is Matt Smith just going to continue to be working in that shop?
No, we got a couple new sets of cylinder heads I'm trying to get done before Indy.
All right.
And trying to get me and Angie a motor just like what Gianna has. The motor she's got is it's stupid bad. I mean, it makes 5 better on average than anything we've got. So we've got new heads that we're working on. We're trying to get all that done. And if we get that done, then I'm hoping that me and Angie will have good stuff, for Indy. Not that our stuff's bad now, but I'd like to get that just what she has. And I think we're going to go to Indy with a new bike with Angie. We're building a new chassis for her. So I'm trying to get her up to speed where we're all at also. And we'll see what happens. But we're going to take 1 week off. We're all going to the beach 1 week between me, my wife, or me and Angie, Michael and Jen, and John Hall and his wife, and Gianna and her husband, and even our sponsor, Lisa, and her husband. They're all coming to the beach, and even, John Hall. So we're all going to be down there together at the beach and just we're calling it an MSR retreat. Just a time and get away from racing, and then we'll be back at it. So we'll be back at it for 3 weeks hard. We do have a test session planned before we go to Indy. And so that's where we're at right now.
That's awesome.
I like that. A lot of work, a little bit of rest in there for sure. Matt, look, last question before we let you go, since you're bumping along over the road there. I'm a Love's guy. I like to stop at Love's, get the 10 cents off per gallon, and they got a few things in Love's that I'm like, yep, they're the only ones that got it, and that's what I want. On the road, where are you and Angie stopping?
We always stop at Love's. That's our preferred stop. That's where our fuel card is to stop. So we get we get more discount at Love's, and when you drive these trucks up and down the road, I mean, you try to take advantage of every discount that you can get. Yeah. And Love's is our ultimate stop. The one thing I will tell you that about every Love's has is a Coke slushie, and we love the Coke slushies. Angie loves it, I love it, and that's just where we're at. The only problem we had today is at 8 o'clock this morning I was driving and we blew a front steer tire out. So it tore our truck up a little bit. 4 hours later we got back on the road. Really not sure why it blew out. We keep brand new Michelins on this thing. It's only 3 years old, but for some reason it blew out. So but we're back on the road. Everybody's healthy. We didn't hurt nothing but the truck a little bit. That'll be going to the body shop when we get home. And part of that money I won, I got to go on and fix this truck up now.
Well, Matt, look, definitely glad to hear that everybody got through that. And steering tires are no fun for sure. No tire anyway, but especially steering tire. Well, look, y'all continue to have the rest of your trip safe and enjoy that relaxation. And we look forward to a good battle, Indy and on, in NHRA competition. Thank you for your time, man.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me on. I really appreciate it, and it's always fun being on here.
See you, Matt.
See ya.
Well, always good talk to Matt, and he keeps it real. And he, I wish he had more time on shows like this. Not just this show, but all. He gets on and he really just lays it out and explains it.
Yeah. I like his educational part. I think it was a lot of back and forth on Facebook, and he was able to kind of explain it a little bit better. Because it's hard to understand and trying to type that out, but he was able to explain that here tonight, and you can understand where he's coming from, and it's true. I mean, the class is very low in attendance. Some I believe aren't attending because it's money is big. You know what I mean? It's not cheap to do these things. And you got a lot of people in this class that this is, other than Matt Smith, there's and Vance and Hines, there's only a few people that do this, that this is their job. There's people that go back to real jobs, and hey, Gage goes back to his real job.
Right.
So it's tough, and more money would help. But I agree. It's fun to see history and to see things happen. But it would help if others felt like they could compete, because I do think there's a lot more people out here that are capable of riding bikes and turning on wind lights. It's just a matter of finding the happy medium, so that, everything is kind of like pro stock, where it's close racing, and, at least you have an opportunity. If you tune it right, you have an opportunity to be able to win, and it's not such a big gap.
I agree. And I also agree that chatting away on whatever public forum, it just goes off the rails very quickly. We can talk about that in just a few moments, pertaining to the event in Albuquerque, Chaos in the Cactus, as we also will chat up concerning the NHRA national event in Sonoma in just a few moments. But we're pumped up right here on the show because of Weldon High Performance. Their pumps need to be in your high performance application. As I say routinely, if they can make pumps to keep that airplane flying, they can make a pump, and they do have a pump to let you fly down the strip or wherever else you might put one of their pumps. Weldon High Performance. Pumps, the Power Hour. So, Dujanay, we've all been in those online chat battles.
Yeah.
And you're putting things in the comment section, and you're like, I know I'm not the dumb one here. And so history was made this past weekend at the event in Albuquerque. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that history was confirmed by Brett Kepner, mind you. For the first time in history, two turbocharged funny cars lined up against each other in a match race. I don't know how that has not happened up till now.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
And that's not to say there hasn't been turbocharged funny cars. I'm not saying that. There has been plenty. But never apparently two at the same time to line up against each other, strangely enough.
Yeah.
Scott Pareso in the Texas Twister, and then Sheldon Lofgreen in the Arizona Thunder. They line up. Combinations are a bit different. They're not an apples to apples comparison, but they are both twin turboed funny cars. And Sheldon Lofgreen got the win, and it was just neat to see this finally happen. Historical moment. Well, we put it out there for everybody to enjoy. And it fascinates me, people that just miss the big picture on things. One individual commented, I don't think turbos and funny cars should be together. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you commented on the wrong comment section of a series that says it just has to be a funny car. Bring any combination.
Right.
That was pretty dumb.
That was dumb.
And then an individual starts chiming in that they were slow. So if I remember correctly, Sheldon Lofgreen went like a 450 in the 8th mile. And this individual is typing in like, wow, pro mods are quicker than that. And he throws out that Todd Boya, I think it is, has the record with like a 349 in the 8th mile. And he also has a quarter-mile record, and the car's turboed.
Right.
Well, what fascinates me is he didn't factor in that Albuquerque sits at 5,300 feet of elevation without any corrected density altitude. We're talking about of the day of the event, it was like 8,900 feet. I don't care
Wow.
what you have
For real.
combination wise. You're not running a 349.
No, absolutely not. What air is there to breathe?
Right.
Good
See,
Lord.
there's no birds in Albuquerque that fly because the air. No, I'm joking, but no, I'm like, all I've got to say is before you go into a comment section, be a smart fan and try to factor everything in.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's horrible.
I get it. These two cars do not represent the fastest and quickest in the turbo realm, but you know what? They do represent a historical little marker in drag racing that took to 2024
That's
to
crazy.
happen.
That's crazy.
That is wild.
Especially when you have these combinations. It's not like they're obscure combinations. It's just wild that that's never happened before until now.
Oh, and by the way, again, a certainly apples to oranges comparison. Todd, when he set that record, it was Bradenton, Florida, which is 6 feet above sea level, and the conditions were ideal.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Got to take everything in. Can't be a dummy. That's for sure.
Oh, Andrew. Oh, it wasn't FCC checking it out. The West Coast guys didn't sign up. That event was for the West Coast. You weren't going to see a lot of Midwest guys go out there, and that was expected. The West Coast funny car guys didn't sign up. Now,
interesting.
Schedule-wise, I know that it was a tough schedule, and there was a race actually added after you already had the Chaos race scheduled. But when it does come to Chaos, it fascinates me why people do not run it. The entry fee is hardly nothing for basically 2 pit spots and 8 crew members, and Chris isn't not counting. And it is extremely cheap compared to Midwest Drag Racing Series, to NHRA if you're running an alcohol car, so on and so on. And with it not having a top-heavy payout, if you're smart and run your program wisely, you could make a little bit of money with your funny car running Funny Car Chaos.
Yeah. I mean, just got to be. I mean, people are frugal anyway when they run them, the NHRA event, and they pay more. So, I mean, it's easily to be done. It has been done. We've seen it done on the big stage, so it's not that hard.
You can.
Yeah.
So I hate it that the California Chaos did not work out. We were all excited for it. We were looking forward to it, but the competitors that would have needed to have been involved, they decided not to participate and participate elsewhere. And again, that's their choice. Yeah. They have the right to make that choice. I don't know why you just wouldn't use it even possibly as a glorified test session. I think the biggest miss out, it's not the competitors, it's not the track, it's not the series, it's the fans. Because there were some cool things going to be done for the fans in particular, like the way the pits were going to be laid out, and have a coordinated warm up like we did back in Eddyville a year ago. It's such a cool moment, and it's such a neat way to do it and to experience the pits a little different. Right. So I think the ones that are going to miss out the most, not the competitors, not even the series, not even the track, it's the fans.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Yes. But, it's all about the fans, and that's unfortunate.
Yes. And the fans in Albuquerque, they had a great show. We had an event that really shook up our points, and now going into the final points race of the year to crown the champion on Labor Day weekend at Mocan Dragway for Funny Car Chaos. There are 7 drivers with a solid mathematical chance, and the top 4 it can change within qualifying basically of who can be in the points lead by the going into eliminations, and it is spread out amongst A field competitors, B field competitors, and C field competitors. So we have a pretty cool points battle going into the last race of the year, and just keep your eyes peeled on an announcement concerning the last race for Funny Car Chaos this year at Mocan Dragway. Just keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out.
It's going to be good.
Dujane, what did you think concerning the Sonoma Nationals? What I did catch, was shocking and impressive. And also, though, watching the national broadcast, a very, very small portion of it in Amarillo at like 3 a.m. before going to bed after traveling all day because I-40 got shut down and I was pushed back 4 hours. Yeah, interesting day. Nonetheless, first thing I hear from one of the people doing interviews is, how do you feel about? And I'm like, really? We can't frame that a little bit better? Man. But beyond that, the positives, I think it was a great national event from everything I can tell.
Yeah. Competition, I thought, was exceptional throughout all the classes. Ron August getting the opportunity to get that W. I had a gut feeling that was a possibility that Doug would do something like that. But man, to be able to get that opportunity, and the whole thing with the bye run, my stomach was hurting. I'm like, you got to get this car started. Like, he's got to go to the semifinal round.
Right.
Shout out to everybody on the starting line that came over and lend a set of eyes for them. And shout out to the NHRA for at least giving them time to be able to find the problem and get the car started. That was important. A lot of people picking up and finding their way into consistency here. I feel sorry for Alexis because I think she's got a car that's starting to come together. It just seems for whatever reason, if she's not late, it's something with the car at a most inopportune time when they've made 4 consecutive passes, or 3 or 4 consecutive passes in qualifying, and looks good. It looks like the Wilkerson camp and the SCAG department is getting their wheels together and getting things done. When you look at the Pro Stock motorcycle deal, Gianna's just killing it. And it's in succession now. So, like he said, if she can just get her lights to where she was on the Suzuki, I think it's going to be she's going to be a problem, and she was a problem this weekend. And Pro Stock was just crazy. Like, Corey Reed, by the way, who Dave hit on in the bet there, it was a good call. Corey Reed, man, he's showing something, and that's impressive for a guy coming from motorcycle, and this being his first go around, and he's made it look easy. But I'll say this too: they've had their share of issues, and for him to be calm, cool, and collected, to be able to still execute, is so important. That's half the battle there. You know what I mean? We know driving any type of car, it's all a mental game, especially. And if something's not going according to plan, it can really throw you off, if you can't keep your emotions, together. And he had several issues in some of the rounds and was able to keep it together and get himself in the final round. And it was close, man. So close. Stanfield's getting his legs. I think he's the front runner over there with Elite. And I honestly, I think he's well ahead of Erica right now in performance. So it's going to be interesting coming into we got 2 races left in the regular season, and coming into this playoffs, man, it's going to really get shook up here because there are a lot of cars in every category that's that's starting to get their legs and finding performance and finding consistency. So it's anybody's race from here on out.
Yes, it is highly competitive across the board, and we see people crack off moments. Like you've got Clay Millican with his reestablishing record run, and takes a spot away from Brittany on the list. Like like just the one or two that's up there, and then I believe if I saw correctly, Brittany made it to the semifinals. Is that correct? So
yes, she made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, if that's the case, going rounds. That team needs that.
They
needs
needed it
now. They need that. I mean, they needed a win, but making rounds, going rounds, making it to a semifinal, they certainly needed that. So we have got great competition across the board, and you have, again, I think what you have with Ron August Jr. is what makes drag racing great.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those situations where I don't let a short field upset me. Some people look and see a short field and they're just like,
yeah,
the sport is dead.
Right.
I look at it as we've got an interesting strategy that can play out, because if Doug goes out there and wins, well, he's got that bye to the semifinal. He, as number one qualifier, earned the opportunity to possibly get that.
Yeah.
But because of the way the ladder worked out, if I qualified, I've got an opportunity to get that too, even though I qualified last.
Right.
Okay. So I like how that plays out from time to time. And we've seen that play out before. One that sticks in my mind is Terry Haddock a couple years ago at Epping, New England Nationals, and he gets around Ron Capps, just barely nicks Ron at the line when Ron had a blow up going into the lights, and Terry's able to go to the semifinals.
Yeah.
With the way things worked out qualifying. So in moments like Ron August, I can't help but wonder if the sport shifts and we have charters and we have guaranteed spots and we have provisionals and things of that nature. I'm very concerned about what happens to a Ron August Jr., a Rob Passy, a Jack Wyatt, a Terry Haddock, and do they have a place at all at that point in the sport? If we ever get to the day where Ron August shows up, he qualifies on time, but a former champion gets a champion's provisional and knocks him out, you're not going to see those cars come out anymore.
No, and that hurts a guy like Chris King too. I mean,
sure.
I think these types of spots and being able to earn those spots, those cars, those people being able to earn a spot in a 16-car field is what makes this sport great, because you just never know. You have a bad day and they have a good day and put up a career best, and the next thing you know, they're in the field and you're not. And sometimes they don't. We've seen Terry Haddock this year have a lot of career best as well, and sometimes those things throw off a lot and create matchups that especially when they're running well and when these cars are running well, it creates an avenue of, again, Doug couldn't go out there and just say we're going to put in a lower tune-up. We're not going to press it. We're just going to try to get this round win and get on about our business, because if he runs a better number than you and leaves on you, well, he likely wins on a whole shot, because you were trying to run an average run just to get the round win. So these teams have to come out and put up what they would normally do no matter who it is, because these cars are running well. And I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
and you got quality people that go from camp to camp.
Mhm.
You know, Ron August Jr. has got someone assisting him in tuning with Tony Shortall, and Tony certainly knows what he's doing. And Tony Shortall, he kind of runs in the camp of like Aaron Brooks and guys like
Yeah.
that. So it's kind of that school of thought and thinking, and even assistance. Well, you can't just expect that it's going to be a dud run. That certainly may
No.
not be the case out of Ron. They're going to be methodical and they're going to be smart over a weekend. I've seen them not bother to go up for Q3 or Q4 type of situation or pull out of line, that type of thing.
Right.
But you've got quality part-timers such as TJ Zizzo coming out with the help that he has and the assistance that he does. So you've got Doug Foley out there with Lance Larson and Doug Cook. You've got so many of these guys can come out. We haven't seen Greg Carrillo in a while, but there's another
Right.
quality car.
Mhm.
And the tuning assistant he has had in the past from like Aaron Brooks. You've got people that show up every now and then, and you certainly cannot count them out. But I love those stories, and I
Me
love
too.
how drag racing still avails that in a professional motorsport, because we're not getting that anymore really we don't get that no more in NASCAR Cup. I would say we don't
No.
get that anymore in the Xfinity Series. I would say we don't even get it in the Truck Series anymore. We might get it in ARCA if you hear about it, but it's not often you hear about that individual making it into the Daytona 500 because they raced their way in and beat out somebody with a no-name team.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see that anymore.
It's certainly not happening in F1.
No. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Yeah, I like where we're at, and I like where this competition is. It really has been something to watch here through the regular season, and you can tell it's kind of ramping up a little bit as we head into the U.S. Nationals. So many guys and so many girls are starting to get develop a level of consistency with their race cars, and it showed in the last two events we had at the Northwest Nationals and here in Sonoma.
Yes. Dave W. asked about Terry Haddock. I'm not sure. And, when Gary Demption was in the car at Seattle, I'm like, wow, did he buy Terry's body or what's the
Yeah, it was weird.
What's going on there? There's some things to dig for sure in the world of funny car concerning Terry Haddock. Now, I do know Terry a couple years ago made the decision to kind of step back from trying to do it full time and be more methodical and come out, and when they do run better. And we've seen the fruits of that decision, and he's been able to run better and get more rounds, I think, percentage-wise, if you will, compared to trying to run a full schedule and earn a couple of round wins. I know from a post I did see he was working really hard on his business and moving shop, literally, and things are back up and running with his business. Racing Wheels, if I remember correctly, is one of the businesses that Terry Haddock has, as well as block repair. He does a lot of the repairs out in the drag racing world to these aluminum blocks. So if you needed an aluminum block repair, Terry Haddock, or the wheels that Racing Wheels produces, go check them out. Just Racing Wheels Texas, check that out on Google. And you never know, he might have a set of wheels that you would like to have. Now, Kroger Sucks 45, always thank you for tuning in. I don't know about the words between Austin Prock and J.R. Todd. I've heard there was some words, but I don't know any specifics. I just know that there's at least one side of that equation. I'm not shocked to hear that there's words with that person involved, because it just seems like there always is that happening one way or the other. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. Not a surprise at all.
Andrew, beyond what Competition Plus has said, I posted news from the local news source. We don't know yet. Mystery buyer. And apparently this buyer, a deal done before the auction was completed. So someone made a deal before the gavel, if you will, fell. And I don't know. Rumors are intends for racing to happen there. That would be great.
That would be.
And I will say this, Dugenay, we see a lot of tracks sometimes like Houston. Houston was raised quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you go to where Atlanta Dragway is, it's still there.
Yeah, that bothers me
strange.
so much.
It's very strange. Like the little house that was the Division II offices, it's there. And
Yep.
the tower, yeah, they took it down, but the strip is still there. The bathrooms is there. The concessions are still there.
Yep.
The infrastructure is still there. They have not put anything on that land. They just tore down the tower.
I don't understand it at all. And to be honest, it's like, can't we just buy it back?
I don't know. I mean, look. I understand why the NHRA sold it. I don't think the NHRA needs to be in ownership. Personally,
No, they don't.
Okay, I don't think they need to be.
No.
I think they have proved as owners of tracks such as Atlanta Dragway, they really weren't good stewards. But I find it interesting that it has just sat there.
Yeah.
There's been no development. You know, everybody's, oh, it's going to become an Amazon warehouse. There's no warehouse there.
No.
Oh, it's going to become more houses. Houses have not been put in there yet at all. It's
Nope.
just a
Sitting
vacant,
there.
old, growing up with weeds drag strip.
Yep. It's weird. It is so weird.
Very, very. And, you know, as folks are chiming in, you know, what happens to Flying H if Topeka comes back? Well, I don't think nothing happens to Flying H. And why not have – you could have both on the schedule. You got to remember, they're not next door.
Yep.
And you might say, oh, they're the same market. Well, it's a big market. One's on the other side of the Topeka and Kansas City side, and the other one is on the east side. You got a west and east side. They could both coexist on a national event schedule, I think, in my opinion. But also, Flying H may have realized where they are at in the economy of NHRA drag racing. Hey, we're just going to be a divisional regional track for a while, and we're going to just do that and be that, and that is great too. That there is a quality facility for divisional and regional racing.
Yeah, I agree. That's important because that's always needed, and it's in a good spot that I think individuals will attend, and you'll have some pretty decent fields there. It's weird to see this national event here of top alcohol dragster and funny car. 10 dragsters and 4 funny cars, just 4. Matty Gordon gets another win. I'm gonna say that right now. We're talking about Brainerd. Brainerd.
Okay, Brainerd.
Only 4 funny cars.
Wow.
I'm calling Matty Gordon gets a win. Another one.
Man, that hurts for Brainerd. Brainerd was trying to work out some deals with the alcohol competitors to get more alcohol there, but whew, wow.
Only 10 dragsters, but I was really taken back by just four funny cars.
Yeah.
That's low.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Again, with that, it stems back to treatment.
Oh, I agree.
I agree. It just does.
Yep. I 100% agree.
There is becoming more and more places where those competitors can go race and participate, run their cars. And I think the NHRA, whether, you know, I've talked with Sean Bellamere, obviously, and many others, don't get Steve Boggs started. It is something they've got to work on if they want to continue to have top alcohol funny car participating for the future. And, you know, Dave W. brings up a great point. Not a lot of folks know about this. It wasn't widely publicized, but Flying H did a bad job with that Super Comp dragster that went flying off the end of the track into a fence. And they were like, send the next pair. Yeah, that happened. So there is still some operational matters that have got to be worked out. Yeah. Andrew puts in a great comment. Flying H has a lot of work to do to be a national event track. It's nice, but needs a lot of things done to have a big event. Look, I think a lot of tracks can have a national event. When you look at Epping, you look at Pacific Raceways, a lot of tracks can actually have one, but Flying H just might not be there yet. And
Yeah.
I think for all the excitement, and I'm glad there was excitement, it probably was a bit much within a year to expect this track to have a national event. And they're still not done with the facility. Like, I don't even think the tower is fully completed. I mean, it's up.
I don't think so.
I think glass is in there now, but it's not even fully done.
Mm-mm.
So
they
again,
still got a lot to do with the
yes.
the pit area and all of that. So they've still got some work to do.
Right. And look, they're getting drag races under their belts. They're having great series come in and race, and they are learning as a facility. And I think we got to give any facility that kind of time, because what we don't want is to have a national event there and it be a fiasco like, what was it? I think it was Kentucky for NASCAR when they first went there.
Yeah.
And, there was people outside while the race was finishing that never got parked, type of situation.
Jeez.
And Bruton Smith himself was outside apologizing to people. Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't want something like that.
No, not at all. That would be ugly. Man, so were you surprised? I know I wasn't, but were you surprised that it was Jack Beckman?
No, not surprised.
Me neither.
I put out a fan vote on my X a couple weeks ago, I believe now, and one of the choices was Jack Beckman, and I think he actually got the most votes. But there's a reason why I put him on the list with a couple of others.
Yeah,
I think he is one of he was one of the best candidates. Best candidate? I mean, I don't know. You can make arguments for other guys for other reasons. But this is something Jack's going to do. Jack is going to perform under pressure because he's been there.
Yep.
Jack is also going to take care of the sponsors.
Yeah, he is exceptional at that.
Okay? And Jack is not going to do, I imagine, anything as a loose cannon individual, because that's not him.
Right.
He's going to go in. He's going to get the job done. He's going to interact with the fans. And look, John's known for great fan interaction. Jack is going to interact with the fans. He's known for great fan interaction. And Jack can perform under pressure. Jack can drive at a high level. Jack has beat John Force in championship scenarios. He might very well go out there and earn a championship now for John. He has got all the parameters to get the job done.
Yeah, I it was my thought as well. I likened it to Joe Flacco being brought in for the Browns last year. Jack is definitely, if you want to go tit for tat, is better than Joe Flacco. But I'm just saying, when you're looking at a team that felt they had talent around them to be able to go out and to make a playoff run, they needed a quarterback that was able to manage that talent and be able to put the ball in the hands of the playmakers. I think that's encompasses all of that here with John Force Racing. They're not looking for a placeholder, because they very well could have put Jordan Vandergriff in this car, but at the end of the day, they understand what they have. That brain trust is championship caliber. The car has been in a championship contending car, and they're trying to make a run at a championship. There's no doubt about it. And if you want to do that and you still want to cover all the other things that need to be covered, fan interaction, taking care of the sponsors, being available and being out there, there was no doubt that it had to be Jack Beckman. They're not looking to they're not looking to please sponsors and roll the car out there and so it can be out there and be seen. They're looking to win, and they're looking to grasp a championship for John Force Racing.
Right. Again, and that's just it. And that's why I think Jack is such a great pick, because you're getting more than just a driver.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to name any names, but certain drivers, would have certainly been capable of driving, but I don't think you would have had the fan interaction such as John Force does and Jack Beckman does.
Right.
Okay. I don't think with some drivers you would have them already revealing on John Force Racing through a reel, a short video, some of them participating like that and being natural at it. Okay,
Yes.
all that's very important because for John Force Racing, those marketing partners make it a possibility and they make it happen. And you have got to keep them happy. And this team also wants to go out there and win a championship. And they've been performing at a level where John could have won another championship.
Mm-hmm. I really thought he was in contention big time. Hey, there's the popular
the wink guy.
The wink guy.
Yeah.
Darren Williams Jr., that man right there, boy.
Yeah.
He's living a dream. And I smile.
Hey, Darren,
every time
you were holding the wrong magazine, though. You were holding the wrong magazine.
Yeah, that's awesome. I smile every time I see pictures of him and seeing him on the starting line. It is just absolutely
it's great.
Makes my heart warm. That's
great.
for sure.
For sure. It is great. Milton, will we be able to find Night Under Fire coverage somewhere? I doubt it. So even though there is NHRA regional action taking place there with Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster, you're not going to find a stream of it. That is something that the house that Bader built, Summit Motorsports Park, keeps under wraps. It is a ticket to see a show, and that show is there. So I doubt you're going to see any coverage of it. I will not be there. I had thought about going there and covering alcohol, but this weekend I will be in Martin, Michigan at US 131 Motorsports Park. First time ever. Looking forward to it. In particular, covering Extreme Top Fuel. That's the front engine guys. You've got a big nitro show with the front engine dragsters, some nostalgia funny cars, also match racing with Sean Reed, Larry Dixon, Krista Baldwin, and Scott Palmer in the house up there. And then the whole slate of PDRA drag racing for the Northern Nationals at US 131. So if you want to see what happens at Summit Motorsports Park, try to get a ticket. That's all I can really say. And there's not much coverage of it outside of being there. I will say it's possible that Ohio Drag Racing, I believe that's who it is, DRM may know the handle exactly. He may be able to sneak his camera in and you get some coverage and see it on YouTube and on his Instagram, but that's going to be about it, I would think.
Yeah. I like it that way, though, because it makes it an attraction and a destination for people, something that they have to put on their bucket list to go see. So I don't have a problem with that. Andrew says, did we see the rumor mill about Denver? I saw some snippets of that. I do know that the track is basically still intact. I would like to see that if they're not going to do anything with it just yet, or maybe not at all, could be a Phoenix deal, it could be a Firebird Raceway deal. But if they're not going to do anything in the meantime, let them use it. You know what I mean? I personally hope that nothing happens to it, because if you rebuild a Denver, it's not the same. You know what I mean? It has, it's so much. I mean, that track has so much character. That's hard to recreate. You know what I mean? So I really hope that nothing happens to it.
Well, I will say, and the Bandemiers would admit that facility did have its limitations, like one of them being water. So, yeah,
understandable.
So there are some limitations there that would need to be worked out. In the rumor mill, it did speak of, I think it mentioned Hudson, Colorado, which was northeast of Denver, about 45 minutes, hour out roughly, on one of the major highways leading out of Denver, that they might have found a location in Hudson that would work out. So, the rumor mills, well, they're swirling for sure. The brief moments of interaction that I've had with Tammy Bandemir at tracks, because like you see Tammy regularly at racetracks and at the NHRA national events. She loves drag racing. She loves the sport. Is that they are working on things. They are searching. They are looking. Their intention is still to build a track. Milton, Ohio Racing Media. So just search that on YouTube when you get an opportunity, and should be able to find him. If not YouTube, see him on Instagram a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So
he does good work.
I think you might see some coverage from him. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Dave W. said, if Fast Jack wins the title for Force, his 18th across all racing series, does he retire at the awards banquet?
That's almost mic drop moment, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what? I would love one. I hope we see John get back in the car. I do. And I hope that he is able to end his career with a farewell tour.
Right.
I think John deserves that. He might not think he does, but John deserves it.
Yeah, he does.
And I think it is befitting him and also his fans and the fan base.
Yep.
And I think it will be a good PR move for the NHRA as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's that. And then also I hope John in that year, work it out with Pete, work it out with whoever. I think there could be some very neat stunts. Like
Castrol. I need to see Castrol back.
Anything like that. Or like, John, go run the Funny Car Chaos Classic, the biggest funny car race, the biggest, collection of funny, like show up, run that, work that out. I mean, just get a nostalgia car and go just get it all in. That'd be cool. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. It's whatever he wants to do, but that would be cool to see.
It would be. I am of the notion, whether it's stick and ball sports or racing, I want to see him go out on his own terms.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be in this fashion because of an injury. And I want the farewell tour as well, because my idea is John's got a ton of different body schemes and paint schemes that he's run over the years. He's got enough to give us 21 of those, or for an entire race season, he can race a new one at every race. The Superman one comes to mind as one that would really stand out. And I believe it was when they ran that like gold colored Castrol car. That one sticks out too. There's so many that he has out there.
Oh yeah. I want to see one with flames back on it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome to do and awesome to see. So yeah, I want him to go out on his own terms and have a farewell tour. And agreed, it would be, NHRA gets behind that. That would be a huge year that you could just milk for all the races.
Why not? Milk all the races. And
milk it.
Again, die casts, hero cards. I mean, just you name it. And again, I don't mean that just from a monetary perspective or a PR perspective, but John deserves it.
He deserves it.
Okay, I know it'd be a lot more work, and it'd be timing and stressing on him even, but he deserves people bringing the gifts to him and saying thank you for the memories, and he's got that much more to add to the museum and type of thing. We
don't give athletes their flowers a lot of times when they're here, and if anybody deserves to have his flowers while he's here, it's John.
Yeah. So, but yes, I want John Force run the Funny Car Chaos Classic. Yes, please. Yeah. That'd be great. And like run an old school. Like, look, let me say this to all the marketing people out there, whoever might be listening. If you're not cool with running like throwback schemes and like twisting your logo a little bit to fit within the font of something that's old, or even changing your colors a little bit, I'm not interested in buying your product.
I'm not either.
Like, look, when I watch the NASCAR throwback race and I see a company that didn't participate in the throwback and working it some way into their marketing, I don't buy their stuff. I write them, nope, not buying.
Nope. And it's so I don't know why you don't participate in that, because it's the most coolest thing ever. Like I said, the NFL has a lot of retro retro weekends that teams can wear a old throwback jersey or uniform on a particular weekend once a year. I think maybe twice, but I think it's only once. Why can't the NHRA have a weekend like that where it's just a throwback weekend? Everybody brings out a different paint scheme, different everything, and let's just do something fun.
Right. Again, look, the cars are wrapped now. It's not that tough.
Yeah, it's not hard. Not like back in the day, boy, when you had them nice paint schemes. They don't want no paint. That's weight.
Right. Again, it's not that hard. I mean, and look, I agree with Dave W. Let's not do it so much where retro doesn't become cool.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I don't think you should see the Packers go retro uniform the whole year.
No. One time.
But I will say, like as you bringing up the NFL, if I go and buy a Cowboys jersey right now, I don't want color rush. I don't want plain away or plain home. I want the ones that they wear in modern day, but it mimics what they had in the early 90s with the star on the shoulder and the blue sleeves and the white field. Okay. I love that jersey. That's the one
I like
I'm
it
going
with the white helmet too. With the white helmet with the star on it. That's my favorite.
Yep. So I'm just saying, look, folks, look at Napa. Napa went with a whole Hot Wheels snake.
Mm-hmm.
Like Napa wasn't even really fully
on the car.
On the car. I mean, it was there, but not like, emboldened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll consider shopping at Napa, and I have shopped at Napa. And I do shop at Napa. I got Napa gloves in the car. Like when I change oils. I appreciate that, Napa. Thank you, Napa, for giving us something cool.
Exactly.
Okay? And I can't bring up any people who haven't done cool stuff because I've done forgot about them, and I put them out of my memory, and I'm not buying anything from them.
Exactly. Not until you do.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
Well, folks, look, the Sonoma Nationals was a great event. Saw some great performances. I tell you what, though, as things go on, Dugenais, I know that 341 was legit.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it yet.
No, I thought it was possible at Sonoma. My next place that I think it's possible is Maple Grove.
For sure. Yes, Maple Grove.
And I don't think it's a lack of trying. I just think that the conditions, I mean, they went 338.
It's there. I mean, it is.
They went 338, and he keeps running over 335 like it's nothing. Like,
right.
I mean, they're turning that thing at 336, 337, 338, like it's running 330 mile an hour. So it's not like they can't do it, but he's also hadn't been in an opportunity to where he just has a throwaway, a run that they can go and get after it. And they don't have to worry about, well, I want to qualify in the top half of the field, or it doesn't usually happen. You don't get the conditions where he wants it in qualifying. So it's race day and you have to be like, okay, I might try, but I also got to win this round. So,
right.
You know what I mean? Winning the round and trying to win the race is more important than the 340. But I think the next place that they can do it at is Maple Grove Raceway. They're known, and it's been known to put some numbers on the board. And hopefully they'll get the conditions in qualifying to be able to do it, because I think they can do it with ease. It all hasn't aligned for them to make it happen.
Maple Grove, I think also Las Vegas, if the weather is just right for the end of the year.
Yep.
Pomona at the end of the year.
At the end of the year.
With conditions just right. It could still be a possibility. It could still happen. And
Charlotte Charlotte too
Charlotte's another
might
one.
be
Yes,
one
you are correct.
at the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah. So a quality track.
Because that's where Salinas did 300 to the 8th at Charlotte. So we're going to get back to that time of the year where we're going to have our eyeballs on that car.
Yeah. Speaking of that cool time of year, so I'm thinking back to, NHRA saying making changes with Pro Stock Bike, right? Now, and Matt says they won't make any changes. I agree with that because at the end of the day, like, we're getting back in conditions that Matt said are favorable for them. Get it? Track's not going to be all gummy and sticky. Kind of will have, not 132-degree tracks. And I mean, like I said, I have the numbers here. He ran in Virginia on that hot track in Q1. He ran a 106.8 60-foot. In Q3, I threw out 2. Q3, 107 60-foot. And in E1, he ran a 105.8 60-foot. So they've proven that they can do it. And I do believe some of that, but I got numbers here that prove that they're capable of doing that, even with the high track temperature. But they're coming into a season where it's going to start getting cool again, and I don't think it's going to matter at that point. And I think the NHRA is kind of thinking that too, and they'll probably revisit it at the end of the year.
Yes, I think tampering right now would just,
it's too hard. And
right.
It was a comment here. I think it was Andrew who said that, but it's kind of hard to penalize one bike. But we heard Matt, and I've heard him say it before. He said it during the Getrix press conference. He's saying, give us weight, give them weight. I mean, it's very logical. It's something that they could try. And it's not like, he's saying, well, he needs a break or it's for his bikes. He's trying to create a balance that he thinks that might work. And at least if you're complaining or if you're griping about something, he comes to the table with a solution at least. You know what I mean? Right. At the very least. There's a lot of people that talk and cry and moan and piss and moan all the time, and they don't have a solution to bring to the table. But when Matt Smith feels strongly about something, he at least has a solution.
Yes.
Or a potential solution. Yes. And I have to give him credit for that.
Again, a lot of people, they will say, oh, he's a whiner, crybaby, whatever. No, Matt's going to state his case, but he's going to back it up with some good points.
Yes.
And it's not just about him. He has done that routinely from the time that first ever interview I ever had with him up to the one tonight. He will give you good information, and it's not just for him. It's most of the time over the whole class that it would be beneficial. Like tonight, he's like, I want more money for the class. He's like, I want a break for the ladies. We need more ladies in the class. Where have they all gone? And he made a good point, a point that I hadn't actually really noticed. I'm like, where did they all go?
Yeah.
We need someone like a Destiny Spurlock staying in the class more often and having a ride routinely. And so I get what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. And she's a hell of a rider.
Yes.
Like, there's no doubt. I mean, she's on the same level as Gage and Richard Gadsden.
Yep.
Okay. So there's no reason why that she shouldn't be in the class. And I do think that, you look at the Kelly Clances and you look at Ellie, kind of dropped out there, cost and the reward isn't the greatest. And they're spending a lot of money. I mean, it's $12,500 to rent a bike. You know what I mean? Like, it's not cheap to rent a bike. And if you're not going out there and if it's not a lot of money, well, you're spending more than you're making. And that's not a good business model at all. Right. And I think some folks, because of the travel out west, and the potential low count, even if you added Kelly to that, still not a full field. So looking at all of that and the cost, and they are a small team and they work full time.
Right.
It's not logistically sound.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense for them.
Yep. It goes back to the clowns need a bigger cut of the admission to the circus.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And how that entirely gets solved, not sure. I'm not proposing a particular business model, but we do need to figure out. I think ultimately there is a bigger problem for those in pro stock motorcycle. It's a nitro show. Just is.
Yeah.
Look, I like pro stock motorcycle. The racing, the characters, it is a great class. But the fact of the matter is, nitro is what sells a ticket. And if you don't believe that, then how do they refund your, ticket? What's it?
If you don't see no nitro, you get your money back.
Right. All right. So, yeah.
Again, kind of retooling national events. See, I also had a theory too, to help and to put Top Alcohol, Dragster, and Funny Car on a stage. There's too many classes over here in NHRA. Would have helped. I understand IHRA ain't what it used to be, but boy, oh boy, wouldn't it have been nice to have IHRA right now and put those guys at the front and center and they be the show over there?
Well, they were. I mean, you think about the way the program was with IHRA, your professional classes were Top Fuel, then professional alcohol, Funny Car, professional modified, and then Mountain Motor Pro Stock. That was the pro classes for IHRA. You did have a brief time where Nitro Funny Car was also a part of the portfolio, but that was a brief time. Over most of its history, the professional Funny Car racers were actually of the methanol burning variety, or ethanol in the case of Mark Thomas. But nonetheless, that's what it looked like. And yeah, I think the national event model does need to be retooled drastically. And I hate to say it, slim it down. It all needs to be fast and quick, heads up.
Yep.
Maybe, heaven forbid, maybe break up how you run some of these cars. Maybe Top Fuel is first, and then you run Pro Stock Motorcycle, and then you run Funny Car. I know some want different prep and things of that nature. I get that, but maybe something can be worked out where you have some cars in between that hold the fans captive with their attention, and they see some other forms of racing out there possibly. I don't know. I do believe, though, the national event model does need to be tweaked.
Yeah. And the IHRA is they kind of did themselves in, right? This wasn't a thing of the NHRA, like WWE killed all the promotions. They kind of killed themselves, right?
Well, the IHRA was sold, and then it went through a lot of different hands.
Yeah.
And it just got through hands that didn't care about it, basically.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That
that's
sucks.
the short story. There's much longer story.
Oh, yeah.
That the wrong people got into it and didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah. Because it would be nice to have that on that level, because I think you're seeing that it is needed. And if it's not possible for it to come back, then the NHRA, being that you have all these classes under your umbrella because you brought them in, now you have to figure out a better way to showcase them, to make it great for everyone. You know what I mean? And that way you kind of get showtime for those, especially me personally. I keep repeating that, but the alcohol classes that need that time and deserve that time. I mean, again, we've got a champion over there in Julie Natus that, to me, is just not. It's like she's not even a champion. It's crazy to me, and that shouldn't be that way.
But idiots.
Yeah,
Idiots.
sadly.
Idiots. Like, look, the reason Maddie Gordon gets the attention she does in Top Alcohol Funny Car for her first national event win, it happens to be the 100th win for a female in NHRA at a national event level.
Yeah. That was fantastic, by the way.
It was. But if she wins and she's 99th or she's 101, I don't think Maddie gets the attention.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And she deserves the attention. She is exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She is exceptional on all levels, and even engaging with the media as well. She's going to be a gem as time goes on. But I love the fact that they love Alcohol Funny Car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could easily go to Fuel Funny Car, but I love the fact that she loves Alcohol Funny Car.
Yes, I doubt you'll ever see her move up. I don't.
Yeah.
They don't. That family doesn't look at it as moving up. They are professionals at what they do.
Exactly.
And they are. That whole entire family. They go out there and they get it done professionally.
Yeah.
Well, Dujane, it's been good.
Oh yeah.
Professionally in this show, because I just got done with a 17.5-hour trip, and I just want to go relax.
I totally understand.
Everybody out there, thank you for watching. Matt Smith, thank you for your time. Dujane, thank you for co-hosting again. Yourself and Nikki did a fine job last week, and that was a great show. Great to be back, though. Folks, this has been the 184th episode of the Competition Plus Power Hour. Make sure you like, you share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all those things. It's been brought to you by Weldon High Performance. And as we check out, well, for a lot of these racers, what allows them to run the full measure of whatever distance they're running, it's Redline.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.